you're well. I hope you've had a really good couple of weeks since we last sat down to chat. It feels weird for me because I actually recorded this last Saturday, and then I got the phone call that everybody dreads, that can you come home now? I had to call an ambulance phone call, and yeah, 3 miles feels like 300, doesn't it? My poor dad took poorly. He was slipping in and out of consciousness when I got home. And Mum thought he was having a stroke, but he didn't. He's okay. They have found a tumour on his pituitary gland. It's benign, and after many different forms of CTs and MRIs and full body MRIs and things, we now know that he's got absolutely no cancer anywhere else in his body, and he's going to be absolutely fine. It's just been an incredibly exhausting and emotional week, as you can imagine, but I'm not going to dwell on it. It's also been a week of huge excitement and great joy, and I'm really fortunate that in times of stress, planning, work and things like that uplift me and give me a purpose when you're just waiting on time to tick round because you're in a hospital waiting room or waiting to see a doctor post MRI. You know, there could be a 4-hour window, and for me, I filled that time planning our retreats and new workshops and things like that. So yeah, it's been lovely, but I'll perhaps talk to you a bit more about that later on. So how have you been? Have you been well? It is a really strange period of time here for us in Shropshire, weather-wise, because I'm British, so let's talk weather. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. You would be lured into thinking that spring is here. The birds, my morning walk is just a cacophony of birdsong. It's pure joy. I'll pop in some little videos if you like. Jeff and I have been going out for our walk at around 7 AM, and now it's much lighter. We get to watch the sunrise, and it's just joyful. It just lifts me, really, really lifts me. I love, my favourite walk is blue skies, but as cold as you like, icy cold and frost, but as blue sky. I just love that weather. One of our yarn clubs for 2023, as many of you know, has been the Yarnmanac, and it's based on the Little Almanac book, which is a seasonal guide to nature, and it looks at all things. You know, it could be a bird or a flower, flora, fauna, but also things like tide times in the solar system, national and internationally celebrated holidays, all sorts of things. I'm sure you all know. And in January we based our first month on the robin, and the reason we chose the robin was because of information we'd read in the book, obviously, and it said that the robin's spring song is obviously the time when it's trying to attract its mate, and it's you know, setting itself up for a hot date, but they start their spring song as early as January, so that by February they are in full vocal splendour, and my goodness, they really are. Honestly, the noise and the song, it's just, you can't help but smile, can you? If I could sing like that, I would be blasting it from the rooftops. We've got a little balcony just here at HQ. I would be on there warbling away. I do love robins, I think they're wonderful. So other than that, we have been planning, we have been walking, we have been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. But other than that, I've been knitting. So when I recorded last week, I'd already finished my jumper. I'll pop in some little video here of me prancing around. I'd already finished this jumper. I finished it, I think, was it Wednesday we last spoke? I can't recall. May have been a Friday, can't recall. I finished it very, very shortly afterwards. And on the Sunday, I cast on another project. Oh, honestly, I can't, I've tried to start this intro about 4 times today and I just can't get the flow of what I want to say. I'm just going to go with it. I think it's because this is the first time I've left Mum and Dad since what happened last Saturday, and I must just feel a bit angsty. Anyway, yeah, I finished it not long after and I love it. It's been perfect for these last few days because it's Aran weight. It's the Novice Slipover by Petite Knits. It's an Aran weight garment and it's been perfect transitional piece. It's warm enough that I can just go out with this on without needing a coat or a cardigan. It's been lovely. I'm really pleased with it. I altered the pattern just slightly on the armhole ribbing, the neckband, and of course on the bottom hem to do a 1x1 twisted rib as opposed to a regular rib, and purely because for me my 1x1 twisted rib is much neater than my 1x1 regular rib. And actually I really like the finished look of it. I think it looks really smart, really neat. I feel really put together wearing this garment, even though I've just got on today like leggings, a long shirt and this. I feel really put together. It's a really, and actually I've had 2 compliments today as well, which is always nice, isn't it? I think for me this is the best fitting garment I've ever knit myself, which is lovely. And yeah, I feel great in it. I feel really good. I've said to you many times before that I'm on an exploration into self-discovery, if you will, with regards to making my own clothes, both sewn and knitted. And I just want a wardrobe, a capsule wardrobe of clothes that make me feel the absolute, oh, I nearly swore then, the bee's knees. I just want to feel good, you know, confident and comfortable in the clothes that I wear. And I really do in this. I'm ever so proud of it. I'm really chuffed. I don't think there's a great deal else to tell you from when we spoke last time. When we did speak about this, when it was still on my needles, I was umming and ahhing whether to finish at my natural waist or to knit a bit longer. And I chose in the end to go a bit longer. Purely because I didn't want to have the yarn left. I had 2 balls, each with a bit on, you know, and I just didn't want to. I'm trying to think why I had 2 balls, because I didn't alternate skeins on this, but I did. I had about 100 grams total left, and I didn't want to. Oh, I know, because I did the ribbing. So sorry, I just can't articulate myself at all. If you want to see, go back to the last episode where I spoke more about this in a much more sensical manner. I put the body on hold while I did the necking and the armhole rib band, and then I carried on with the body. And I just wanted to use all the yarn that I had, which was around about 100 grams. So that's what I did. This Aran weight yarn that we stock is a merino cashmere nylon, and I knew that the cashmere would pill a little bit because, well, it's the nature of the beast, isn't it? The softer the yarn, the more inclined it is to pill. And I absolutely knew that when I was choosing the yarn for this project. But I've no regrets. I've worn this half a dozen times in the last fortnight, and yes, there is a little bit of pilling, but really nothing that, well, you wouldn't notice, but if it bothers you, I've got a gleaner, it's fine. I love it. Really pleased with it. Should I stand up? No, I'll just put in some cutaway video here of me wearing it. I will definitely make another. I think next I want to do a DK weight with some fluff. We are vending at East Anglia Yarn Festival in a few weeks in March, about a month actually. Yeah, it is a month, 4 weeks this weekend, and we're getting ready for that. As you can see, we're sort of really stocking up and filling up, and we've got loads of fluff dyed. I basically went through all our dye recipe books and chose all the colours that I love, that I want sweaters in, and I got them dyed on every base. Because as always, my thought process is, if they don't sell at shows, happy days, I will knit them all. So I've told you before that Sunday evenings I don't work, in that I don't walk Jeff, I don't clean up the kitchen after dinner, I don't make anybody's cup of tea or supper. I don't. I watch TV and I knit. And I'm calling it my Sunday Knit Society. I know a lot of you do the same because you've messaged me and told me. I watch Dancing on Ice, I watch Call the Midwives, I did watch Happy Valley, that's finished now. I watch Love Island. I just love it, and it's the one time in the week that I have a real focused time for knitting. I don't take my phone to bed, I don't take iPads, you know, I take my iWatch off, I leave that downstairs. I just completely switch off. If anybody needs me or there's an emergency, they can ring Nick. And I just knit until my heart's content. So 2 weeks ago, it was my Sunday Knit Society, and I had the bind off of this novice slipover to complete. I didn't really want to I didn't want to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours perhaps of that precious knitting time on a bind off. So I didn't, I cast on a new project. I'm dead chuffed. So my next garment I've cast on is the Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie Maid Designs. I've knit this one before for Megan. A couple of reasons I chose this pattern, partly because it is fantastic. It's so well written. It really talks you through and gives you, just gives you really good and clear direction for if you want to do waist decreases, if you want to do this sleeve or that sleeve, or it's really thoroughly written pattern and incredibly well written pattern. It's oh darling, shh. It's a size inclusive jumper, which, you know, for a lot of people is a choice, and they choose to support designers that to go the extra mile and put patterns up to a larger size. For me, it's not a political choice. I don't have a choice. I need a pattern that is size inclusive, and this one is. And the other reason I really wanted to have a go at this one was because it's a raglan jumper. So I haven't knit a raglan for myself before. I have knit a V-neck, I've knit a drop shoulder, I've now knit a slip over, but I haven't knit a classic raglan. So I thought it would be really useful to have all types of construction, and then I can really see what suits me best. And I'm doing quite well. The other thing I really like about a raglan is that when you find a pattern that works for you with regards to the numbers and the basic construction, a raglan to me is something that you can completely play with. You can completely throw in stripes, you can throw in different textured yarn, you can alter the cuffs, you can alter the neckband. I just find it really customizable, and I've done that with both raglans that I knit. I've made 3. I've made 2 for Megan. I did one with some rainbow stripes in, which is the one I took inspiration from, and the second one I made for Megan was again a classic top-down raglan, and I, across the chest here, I dropped the DK weight yarn and I picked up a fluffy and a 4-ply and just did a panel about, I don't know, 10 centimetres, 3 inches, 3.5 inches wide of fingering weight and fluffy stuff held together, and it just gives it a really gentle, soft, delicate contrast. And I've already decided that's what I'm going to do next. So for this one, let me show you. I've split for the sleeves so it's easy to show you. I have done 2 rows rather in a contrast colour on the neckband, which isn't in the pattern. This, you know, these are just my design elements. It's for me, this jumper. And then I've striped with these reds and corals, and isn't it lovely? I can't see what I'm showing you. Can you see? I think you can see there, can't you? Isn't it lovely? I wanted to have the stripe section finished before I split for the sleeves. I did a good chunk. I did all the short rows on the back. There are, as I say, German short rows to give it that higher back. I completed all those, and then I decided to do my stripes. And you can see there, when I picked up a new colour, I did a knit one, slip one. And you can see it on the grey there, and you can see it on one of the paler colours, but you can't see it as effectively as when I did Megan's rainbow jumper. That's okay, I really like it. Once I got to the point where I decided to start my colours, I worked out how many rows I had left, and I just made sure that I had enough to do a few rows of the raglan increasing before I split for the sleeves in the grey colour. I don't know why, that's just how I decided to work it. I love it. I've got plans for the sleeves too. I'm going to knit the sleeves all in the grey, and then when it comes to doing the cuff, I'm going to do a 2-colour fisherman's rib in the red, the sparkle red. It's not as blue red as that, it's more, I don't know, it's getting blown out. It's not as, yeah, it's a deeper red than that. It's not as cold as that, it's much warmer. I'm going to do, this is our 1969 colourway, and this is Storm, both on DK. Yeah, I'm going to do 2-colour fisherman's rib for the cuffs, which I think will be lovely because you'll have that pop of red just peeping through. That was a technique I gleaned from the travel sweater that I've just finished. That had the 2-colour fisherman's rib, if you recall. I think having those 2 colours together will be amazing. That colour that is showing up there is more true, but that is not. Do you see? That's not true at all. It looks really orange, doesn't it? But it's not. This is the same colour here. Oh, sorry, Jeff, darling. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's okay. I'm so sorry. I scared him. He's on the chair next to me, and I just made him jump. But yeah, I'm really pleased. I'm already planning another one. I'm planning a few. I have visions for a really pale grey one with a delicate rainbow here. But I also want to play around with the texture and do some mohair or Surrey alpaca stripes as well. I think that would be really cool. I'm really pleased with it. So I'd say this is the Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie May Designs. It's on Ravelry. Any of the patterns I talk about I will link in the drop down description box for you. For my stripes I used a mini skein bundle. I don't have one here. Well, I do, but I can't reach it. I'll pop a little picture in just in case anybody's interested. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it. And that's the only project I've been working on. Oh, my sleeves are on these Knitting Barber cords. I bought these from Jules at So Sweet Violet, the Knitting Barber, and you know, they're fantastic. I got a set for Nick and a set for myself, and they're brilliant. Before having these, I used to pop, you know, just a piece of yarn and put my stitches on waste yarn, but I always found the stitches really hard to pick back up, and they'd end up being twisted, and there was always a couple right at the end that I struggled to find. Whereas this, you'll just pop the needle on the end, the needle tip, and just whoosh, around we go. I love them. I'm really, really impressed with them, as is Nick. We both use them all the time. It also means that I can pop them on the end of my needles to extend the circumference of my cord and try my jumpers on, which is always encouraging, isn't it? This is the only project I've worked on. I always used to be a monogamous knitter up until becoming a yarn dyer. And at that point then, it was a case of wanting to try colours and to see how things knit up. Partly that was through, you know, not a lack of, well, yeah, a lack of confidence, but also not knowing your product and your dye style yet, and knowing how your techniques transfer to a knitted fabric. So it was always important to me to cast something on before I sold it, which resulted in a crazy amount of whips, really. And they don't cause me stress, but my nature is I enjoy a project and I don't want to put it down. I want to knit it to fruition. I've no thing about having a pair of socks on the go just for if I'm travelling, that sort of thing, but typically I'm a one project woman, really, and that I have gone back to more lately. I no longer feel the need to test our dyeing every time we do a new colour, because we know our techniques work. We know we have absolute confidence in our dye style and technique. That's not an issue anymore. And when we do try something new, we tend to just crank it on the sock machine. Oh, you can just see here. So yeah, I don't have that need anymore. The shift changed for me doing the test knit. When I did the travel sweater, I had to focus on that because there was a time sensitive deadline, and then I did the same with this, and then I've done the same with, so it's just fallen into being that. I'm afraid it won't necessarily make for an interesting podcast because I am only working on that project. I was thinking about casting on some new things and then showing you some things one week and then putting them aside and only working on them like in a rotation. I just think that'll get too much for me. I don't think that would work, so I'm not going to. What else did I have to tell you? I had something else to tell you about that jumper. I can't think what. No, I don't know. There was definitely something else to say. I can't remember. Anyway, it's okay. It's not important. I would like to try brioche at some point this year, even if it's just a little hat. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. The thing that distracts me most is being here, because I'm surrounded by all this lovely yarn all the time, and I've got a bucket of yarn down here, and it's filled with all the grey tones and fluffs, and it really makes me want to cast on everything. And I find it really I'll be working and I'll suddenly go, oh, look at this, and I'll put 4 or 5 together and create a fade or a cohesive palette, and it just sparks things in me. And the mini skeins over there, you know how I feel about mini skeins. I adore them, and I'll start playing with them and putting rows of 12 together, and then I want to cast on all the stripy socks. The struggle is real, my friends. Anyway, that's all I've been knitting on this week. We have got some really exciting things happening here at work. We've been in this unit now for nearly 2 years. May 2021 we came up here, and it's worked phenomenally well, the dye studio. I'll show you actually. Shall I just film a little bit in there after? It's worked really well for us, and this space, which is our retail space and our creative space, the tables here, it's not big enough. It's never been big enough, and we knew that that was a compromise. Prior to moving up here, we had a shop down in the main courtyard of the Moores Craft Centre, and that was much bigger, and it worked great as a shop and a creative space, but it was too small as a dye studio. So we ran the two for a while, but it meant that I was down there, Nick was up here, or vice versa, and we never worked together. And it was, yeah, we didn't like it. The whole thing for Nick and I is that we work together and we bounce ideas off each other, even if we're working in separate rooms. You know, you go back and forth and you chat, and you share creative energy, and it's really productive. So we made the move up here, and we knew that there was going to be a compromise. We knew that we would no longer be able to hold our knit and natters, and we knew that we wouldn't be able to do some of the things that we had on our medium to long term plans for Layfamilyyarn. But it was the right thing to do. We absolutely have no regrets. But the opportunity has come up to take on the lease for the adjoining unit. There is an internal door between the two spaces, so yeah, we've done it. We've signed the lease. We take over the lease from 1st of April, and that is going to be our creative hub, our absolute social space. It's not going to be a dye space at all. The room I'm in here now, we will extend shop-wise. So as you can see behind me, shall I take you for a little whiz? We've got this slat wall system, and all the yarn is around here. Oh, there's Jeff's chair, and we go all the way around with yarn. There's the front door, and then on the opposite side is it's just a wooden wall, a feature wall, and but it's not really utilised to its full capacity. So we'll be able to extend that round, because there is a, oh, you're on the wonk now. There's a table in here. So but because the table will go, we'll be able to utilise this space purely for yarn and for retail, and which is fantastic. So we are going to gain more space in that respect, but the social space we're going to get is just phenomenal. It will comfortably seat about 24 around table, but equally there's going to be a couple of comfy sofas and some comfortable chairs. Our friend Andy, who works here at the Craft Centre, he's a furniture upholsterer, so he's sourcing vintage chairs for us that we can recover. Oh, it's going to be amazing. My friend Jilly makes, she's offered to help make some soft furnishings for me, and it's going to be lovely. And because of that, we can now hold our retreats up here. Before, we used to hold them in the village hall, which is only a very short walk away from here. You know, it's just a lovely stroll along the river. But now we'll have the whole weekend under one roof, which is just phenomenal. I can't wait. I'm so excited. They're all booked. They're going ahead again this year, which is lovely, in November, October, November time. I've sent out so many emails, so I'm hoping we'll get lots of new visitors this year, which is always a joy. Do you know, the greatest compliment Nick and I have ever been paid work-wise is that this is the 4th year we've done retreats. No, third or 4th. And there are people come back. They're coming back this year that came on the very first year, 2019. Is it 19 or 20? Oh, I don't know. It's irrelevant really. But I mean, what a compliment is that, you know, that people come back year on year on year. It's just lovely. So that's been happening. They're going on sale Sunday. So excited. It's going to make it so much easier for Nick and I, especially for Nick, because he typically runs the dye workshop and I host the event, if you will. And you know, I serve tea and coffee all day, and you know, I'm the hostess with the mostess. But to have Nick and I together in one roof that we can just flip between the whole building would just be amazing. We're also looking at opening up workshops to other creative people, and yeah, they're going ahead. Last Saturday, before it all went wrong, I sat here last Saturday and I comprised a list of who I want to do a workshop with, who inspires me, who do I want to sit in a room with and learn from and spend time in their creative company and share their knowledge and their expertise. And I had a list and I emailed people on this list. I haven't exhausted my list yet. I'm halfway through, and then say it all went belly up. But and I emailed people and they've said yes. I'm so excited. I mean, how lucky am I? I get to call this work. How lucky am I? So we're going to be having Nikki Franklin come in to do a workshop. She's going to be coming to teach embroidery, obviously, and stitching, which is just amazing. She's coming in September, July and September actually. She's coming twice. Lovely Emma. So excited. Honestly, I'm like a kid in a sweet shop because say, these are people that these are crafts that I'm interested in personally, not as Layfamilyyarn, just as Kelly, that I am interested in. These are people that I buy from and I support on YouTube and I enjoy watching. I don't know them, but you know, like our relationship, you feel like you know people, but I don't know them personally, but they're just such lovely people. And Emma, I watch Emma's podcast, Vintage Sewing Box. Oh, she's such a lovely soul. She's so kind and gentle, and I just know we would be firm friends. Well, I hope to. I shouldn't say that because she might not feel the same, but I really think we would. And I would love to sit and learn English paper piecing from her and with her. And so yeah, Emma's coming, which is going to be lovely. We're just working out dates, but Emma's going to come and teach a class, and oh, it's so exciting. I must sort out my newsletter. That's on my to-do list. In the meantime, if people have been interested, or if indeed you're interested in attending a workshop, if you just drop me an email at layfamilyyarn.co.uk, I can send you. No, that's my website, isn't it? layfamilyyarn@gmail.co.com. I'll link it below. I don't know what it is. I'll link it below. It's Layfamilyyarn something. It's definitely Gmail. I don't know what the ending is. I'll pop it in the thing below. But yeah, if you're interested in any of those things, please feel free to drop me a line or a message on Instagram, and I can just send you out all the information newsletters that we have. So excited. I knew this year was going to be a good year. I've just known it from the get-go. I'm sure I've said to you guys as well, but I've certainly said it to my friends. Above all else, this year's going to be a happy year. I really believe that, and I don't know what made me. I've just known it from the very beginning, and I knew that life would throw its ups and downs and its trials and tribulations, but despite all that may entail, I just knew it was going to be a happy year, and I still believe that. I really do. I'm going to go. Probably waffled on quite enough at you, haven't I? With very little to show for it. Shall I show you around the shop? Would you like to see? If you're not interested, that's absolutely fine. Thank you so much for coming to spend some time with me. If you are interested, we'll go through to the studio and see Nick and see what he's dyeing, shall we? And then I'll show you all the new plans. Anyway, thank you as always for your company, friends, and I apologise, I haven't caught up with the comments from the last video. I will, I'm just a bit behind, but thank you so much. I really do appreciate your chatter. So I feel quite rude not having replied yet, but I will. But no, I read them and they bring me such comfort and joy. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Lots of love, and I'll see you next week. Who knows, I might be a bit more down a grey body of a jumper, which is not going to be that thrilling, but you never know. Might surprise you, might surprise myself and go wild and cast on all the things. Until then, take care and see you soon. So this is the dye studio as is currently set up, which works incredibly well. It's long and thin, as you can see, and it's got ovens, got 6 ovens, but the one's on the floor down there at the minute. This is Nick dyeing yarn. I don't know what colour he's doing there. What colour are you doing? You're not telling me. Nick and I have, this is his space, this is my space. I'm not allowed in your dance space and he's not. So through here is currently, oh, let me kick this bucket out of the way. Is currently our sort of stock room. There's nothing exciting in here, it's just a stock room. But do you see through there, that door? That door there is going to be where all the magic happens. So we shall move this room around, we shall remove these racks so that we can access that door. And behind that door is quite a big kitchen space where we'll use as a storeroom, as a kitchen, as a, you know, and then all the creative hub will go into there. So that's the storeroom. Oh, this is, well, these are all spare pick and mix minis. That was our advent last year. There were all the test skeins, sample colours. Let me just slowly spin you back round. See if Nick will let us see him down there. He's giving me a look. What colour is this? Oh, one of the new little women colours, Meg. We launched a new collection of yarn on, when was it, the 15th? I can't remember, I don't know what date it was. All based on Little Women, and this is Meg. Should we stay and watch him dye it for a bit? Don't think I've ever shown yarn dyeing on YouTube. Nick's really precise with his dyeing, he measures. I'm a bit more like bit of this, half a teaspoon, bit of this. Nick's very precise and measures everything. Nice. Are you speckling?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to see the speckles? Speckles. This is where we do the yarn dyeing workshop along here when we do them at the retreat. Nice. Taught you well, Lay. Keep up the good work. So here is the shop. That's where I've just been filming on my thingy there. So this is the wooden wall I was talking to you about, and we're going to put all hooks and things on there so we can open up the space much more. Because at the minute, as you can see, the table's there, it's just not utilising it as best as it could. There's all the yarn wool. And then around this corner we've got all our tonals. And down we go. These are all the gaps we're working on now, ready for East Anglia. I love this colour, Woodland Shenanigans. I love this one when we first dyed it. I love it. And this one. This is usually one of our autumn colours, Toffee Apple. But I just love it, so I want it all year round. Bruised Peach. That's my boy, Jeff. I love these brown colours, they're just my jam. Anyway, I'm going to go because it's probably a bit boring. See you soon.